Hello, friends, and welcome to a midweek mini-ish Kings of Anglia podcast. The sun is shining at Heath Towers. I've just been for a run. Town have got the first win of their season under the belt. Anthony Joshua is fighting this weekend. The British Bake Off is back. I'm very excited about that. And another reason to be positive, friends, and cheerful is because my friend and yours, the most popular king, the big porker, El Porcino, Mike Bacon, is on the show today because Andy Warren is on holiday. Mike, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Heath. It's very nice to be here. Obviously, again, yes, I was inundated yesterday with emails and comments of where I was. I don't know what to say. It's great to be back. Obviously, I'm happy to be here, and it's a joy start. I've just been to the dentist. My teeth are A1, which you'll be pleased to know, which is good news. That's a good start. So I've been to the dentist. The sun is shining here as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. Great. So much excitement. Town are going to win their second game of the season on Saturday, which is great. And I'll be reporting on it as well because I've never actually seen them lose at home this season. They never lose when I'm there, so that's good. And also, even better news: Kings of Anglia magazine is in Planet Blue now.
Is it? So it's available to buy now, Mike?
Available. Go there before Saturday's game and pluck up 4 or 5.
Copies, you mean?
I meant copies. Yes.
Just remind us. So it's got Joe Pigott on the front.
Joe Pigott, Macaulay Bond,
yep.
Lee Evans. Oh, I've done a little feature on Paul Mariner as well, the great legend that is Paul Mariner. And lots of we've got Diary of a Tractor Girl, we've got Steve Mellon, we've got Chaplow Day, Portman Pete, of course. Portman Pete has also done his outstanding article.
Yeah, can anyone who buys Kings of Anglia please let me know? Give me feedback on Portman Pete because Mike and I have something of a disagreement about Portman Pete's value to the magazine, shall we say? So, if you're a fan of Portman Pete, let me know. If you're not, which I suspect many of you won't be, let me know. Let's see. Let's find out, shall we? Mike, it's tremendous to have you with us. As you know, you're the most popular king. We get complaints when you're not here. Hutchie's very kindly agreed to go on holiday so you can come back on the pod. It's very big of him. You'll be sitting next to the man in the top right of my screen, Stuart Watson, who went all South Bank show. We'll go into that in a minute. Stewie, how are you? Looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, very much so. Be the boy Bacon next to me. I'll be good.
What's the dynamic like? Because obviously you and Hutchie are quite similar. You're quite low key in the press box and generally in life. With Bacon sitting next to you, he's a little bit more kind of combustible, isn't he? Is a bit more dynamic there on the covering the match day with Bacon?
It's all for the cameras. Mike sort of when the light goes red, Mike comes alive. But I would say we're the opposite. In real life, I'm probably sort of a bigger character than you see here, and it's vice versa with Mike. So we probably level each other out, don't we?
Mike, I ask a lot of stupid questions throughout the 90 minutes. I mean, that I'm always aware of because Stewie often looks at me. He sort of looks at me, glances when I ask my next stupid question, like, that was Fraser who crossed that, wasn't it? And things like that, because that's what I do. I know it was Fraser. Don't get me wrong. I do know. I'm sort of sometimes a little bit needy. You know, I like a backup, just to make sure. I like my reports to be perfection, which they never are. And
long term, that you'd have to be a very loyal East Anglian Daily Times reader, consumer, to know that Mike Bacon and I have shared a screen before. Bacon and Stew.
Yes.
If you go back a good, crikey, 10 to 15 years, we were quite the double act, weren't we, reporting on non-league?
It's on YouTube. If you were to, I think you can actually still find an odd clip of Bacon and Stew.
Yeah, if you search for Green and TV, I should just add the roles are reversed somewhat now because you two were in front of camera and I was behind camera back then. When I was working on the web desk, I was your cameraman.
You're the man who made it happen.
Gassing you up, telling you how great you were. There is one incredible clip. Shortly, it was around the time of Jedward, which dates it, obviously, in terms of how long ago it was. Watson had hair. That's another reason to date it as well. Go and see if you can find that, because it's one of the most extraordinary things you will ever see. Watson becoming Jedward behind Mike Bacon as he previews the weekend's non-league action. That's the sort of thing we used to get up to. Fire in the park. We were well ahead of our time. You boys were well ahead of our time. I think Ross back then, I mean, Ross was obviously probably only about 10 when that was happening. But he's very much here now. He's very much aged and he's very much got the best beard out of all of us. Roscoe, how are you?
I'm very well. I don't know how I can top that. I'm just going to say, yeah.
Do you even know Jed Vidar?
Irish lads who have stupid hair. Yeah, I think that's I know.
Do you know what worried me? You know, we did the whole Andy channeling his inner Kylie Minogue for player ratings. We then realised that afterwards that Kylie Minogue can't get you out of my head. Ross was, how old did you say Ross was, Mark?
5
when that came out. That made me feel old.
Sorry.
Can't apologise for when you were being born, Roscoe, and youth. I mean, I've got to say, I think youth is largely wasted on you. But
yeah, pretty much.
There you go. You've got it, and we haven't. So there you go. Right then, boys, let's dive head first into Ipswich Town chat. That's what we're here for. And before we get into the weekend's game, I want to talk. Firstly, I alluded there to Going Melvin Bragg and South Bank show. One of our number, Stuart Watson, and his partner in crime, Andy Warren, went on a little date night on Tuesday. Press showing of Never Lost at Home, of course, our sponsor, the New Wolsey Theatre. They're a great new show. We've done loads on it. We've done a special podcast if you want to go back and listen to that. And Stewie, you and Andy held hands and sat next to each other in the theatre on Tuesday night as you watched the show. Your review, please.
Loved it, yeah. Me and the work husband met up on Tuesday night for the showing of Never Lost at Home at the New Wolsey, and it was brilliant. It was really good. It was everything that was advertised by your two fine guests previewing the show on the podcast. First things first, Peter Peverley, who plays Sir Bobby Robson. That is uncanny, let me tell you. You've heard his voice already. Is spot on. Grew up a few miles away from where Bobby Robson grew up, so the voice is spot on. He shares some similar facial features as it is. Once you get him into costume with the iconic sort of grey suit and various sort of the training gear of the time, it's like watching Bobby himself. It really is from that time. So that was the best bit of it for me. A lot of humour in there as well. Some really good stuff. The only sort of player of that time that they kind of play is Arnold Muren, who sort of, I won't give away too much of the storyline, but he's in there. There's some funny moments in there as well. Mike's not shaking his head. I know you're going. And the music's great as well. I know the director said that, music is like going to a gig, and they've got a big band at the top of the stage, loads of 80s music from the time, but simply the best, and Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and Eye of the Tiger and all that. So music that kind of matches the various moments in that season as it unfolds. So it was great. And I know they've got different players of the team from that time sort of coming out and watching the show each night. We had John Walk and Russell Osman on stage at the end, sort of dancing a bit of a jig and enjoying themselves as the final credits rolled. So everyone had a really good time.
Did Andy take you out for dinner before your date? I mean, how did it work? What's the dynamic?
No, sadly not. I did say, do you want to go for a beer afterwards? No, just got on his bike and just cycled home. So it's much like a real marriage, to be honest.
Yeah. Just appear in public together and then go your separate ways, essentially. Hutchie's not much of a kind of going out for drinks sort of bloke, is he? Mickey, obviously you're going, like Stewie says, later on this week. It is very much your era. I mean, you are blessed, I will say, with the Matt Holland gene. You've looked the same for about 30 years. You don't age. But this period was absolutely when you were kind of in your element, wasn't it? In terms of town following, enjoying, and other things you were getting up to. So you must be looking forward to going and seeing it on the stage.
Well, absolutely. And I thanks very much, Stuart, for giving most of it away. So that's great. So now I don't really
need spoiler alert, they win the UEFA Cup at the end.
Are you serious? I'm really looking forward to going. And yes, I'm very, very lucky. I mean, I know some town fans get a little bit sort of, you're so lucky to live in that era of Ipswich Town. And I was. And I was a teenager, so it was great. And supporting Ipswich Town was cool. You didn't have to support Man United, Liverpool. And we were taking on all comers at the time. And we were just taking on all comers. I mean, Liverpool, Manchester United came to Portman Road. We're expected to beat these teams. I mean, they were invariably top level games, second against fourth or third against fifth or, top against whatever. The UEFA Cup run was just, it was just another year in Europe to start off with. I mean, you've got to remember, we'd been in Europe year after year. This wasn't a new sort of fad of suddenly being in Europe. But wow, yeah, I remember I didn't go to the away matches. I went to only home match I missed was Saint Etienne at home. We'd beaten them 4-1 away. I missed the home gig, but I went to all the other ones at home. Very lucky. I mean, what a great, just fantastic. It was, when you think what the team achieved, a small town like Ipswich achieved, in the grand scheme of things, just outstanding. And a squad, I mean, the squad could have been more than 14 or 15 strong. It's not a squad of 164,000 like you see on the back of a program today. I mean, players playing 60 matches a season. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad Stu and Andy enjoyed it. And I'm glad Andy didn't go for a drink afterwards, because he had his bicycle. And if he had fallen off on the way home, Stu, you would have felt very bad.
I would. Mike, just before we move on, I mean, it kind of is another reminder to me of when you hear managers bleating about fixture congestion now, the games that Ipswich played that season to go so deep in all the competition, 60 plus games with a squad of, with one sub and a tiny squad. Right at the very end of it, they were playing once every three days towards the end, when some parts, the FA Cup and the league kind of fell apart. But it was an unbelievable schedule, wasn't it?
Well, you got to remember they got to the FA Cup semi-final that year as well, and were top, second, or they, ended up runners up in the league, and also had a good League Cup run. I mean, the League Cup, not like today, unfortunately, where we get knocked out in the first qualifying round or whatever it is, back on August the 4th. I mean, we're still playing League Cup 5th, 6th round matches in March and April, on top of the FA Cup, on top of being, running for the league. And on top of all that, we've got these UEFA Cup runs, which of course are 2 legs. They're not even just one leg. They're 2-legged affairs. I mean, Ipswich Town were literally, I can't remember, it was the Cologne match. They played Norwich City on the Saturday or something, and Cologne on the Tuesday, and someone on the Thursday or something. It's just bizarre. And as you said, lots of players played lots and lots of games. How
did they manage that, Mike? Because players, as we know, can't play 2 games in a week now. Otherwise, they fall apart. And back then, they were playing 60 plus games. I mean, how did they manage it, mate?
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it, to think? And of course, pitches were a lot heavier than they are today. Obviously, we didn't have such things as sports scientists then, who spend a lot of the time today telling you that they can't play 3 games a week, even if they probably could play 3 games a week. Often football, I don't know if footballers actually asked whether they could manage to play 3 games a week, or they're just told they can't play 3 games a week. But I think back in the day, you weren't particularly told you can't. You were just told you're playing. And that was it. And there was no... I mean, football. I think football's a lot faster today. It's a lot more athletic. It's a lot faster, a lot quicker. I'll give all that. I'm not knocking that at all. I think it just feels faster today. It's a lot more goes on a lot quicker. But at the end of the day, it's a game of football. And today, perhaps too many people in the background have got too involved. Players would probably play a bit more if they had the chance.
Back then, of course, they just were told they were playing and then whack this injection in your knee. Don't worry about it. You won't be able to feel your knee for the next 3 days. But don't worry about that, mate. Let's win this game. Rossi, just compare and contrast there. Mickey obviously talking there, his teenage years, remembering Town in their halcyon days. And then he also had obviously the whole winning of leagues and playoff promotions, all that sort of stuff. You, young whippersnapper, your punishment for being young is that you can't remember anything good about Town, I'd imagine. What's the highlight of your Ipswich Town supporting life?
Losing against Lincoln City in the FA Cup.
Sure. I mean, I guess would it be the playoff season under Mick? I mean, because how old were you when they were in the playoffs against West Ham under Joe Raw? That we're talking
10. So I think the big standout for me is beating Crewe 6-4 at Portman Road. That was a good game. I enjoyed that as a 10-year-old. I just loved us scoring goals, and I just knew under Joe Raw we're just going to score more than the opposition. I know we're going to concede goals, but 6-4s, 5-3s, and all that sort of score lines. But it's not been many highs. As a kid, I just enjoyed going. I didn't really care about the result. Obviously, the win, but it would have been nice to win something or do something well. But I was born at the wrong time. By the way, going back to Stu and Mike's video, I've done a little screenshot of this.
There we go. Amazing. Look at that. I mean, if you're just listening on audio, I would say usually, obviously, you should be listening and watching. You should do both. But this time, you should definitely, if you're just listening on audio, go back to this. We're about 14 minutes in and just flick. There you go. There is that screenshot. And the video is still out there. If you search, I think it was Bacon and Stew, wasn't it? Green and TV.
I've just sent it in our group chat, the video of that segment. So we have that now.
How many views are we talking on that now? I'd imagine about 5 million, something like that.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah,
something like that.
I don't know where it is.
Amazing. Right then, boys. So we talked about the good times, we talked about the bad times, and obviously the good times are very much back now at Portman Road. Ipswich Town are up and running. They've got a win. They've got loads of money. They've got loads of new players. They've got the win under the belt. They're back now at home this weekend for a proper big game by any estimation. Sheffield Wednesday at home against Ipswich Town is a big game with everything that's on it. And then also they're at home again on Tuesday against Doncaster. So this is a huge opportunity for Town to really build on that win from last weekend and really get up and running and make a footprint in the league table and start moving day, as it were, to use a golf term. Stewie, Sheffield Wednesday this weekend, it is obviously a big game. I know, obviously, I'm prone to hyperbole and saying everything's massive and getting all excited about everything, but this is, by any kind of qualification or definition, a big game. There's lots of talking points about it going in. One of the ones I'm most interested in, and I want to talk about now, is the goalkeeper, because we thought Ipswich Town's goalkeeper situation had been sorted. Christian Walton had come in as the kind of unquestioned starter following the shaky start to the season for Vladclav Hladky. Shaky is my pronunciation there. And then obviously on his debut, they got tonked 5-2 at home by Bolton. He then got injured before the last game. Hladky came in and, like a bloody hero, kept a clean sheet as Town won. So what do Town do now in goal? Do you stick with the man who's just got a clean sheet and has got a bit of confidence back? You said he looked very solid indeed. Or do you bring back the man who you brought in to be the starting keeper? What do you do?
Tough one, that, isn't it? We don't know yet what Walton's injury status is. We'll speak to Paul Cook in the morning. We're recording this sort of Thursday afternoon, so we'll find out a bit more on that tomorrow. It sounds like it was a minor injury that Walton went over on his adductor in training. Paul Cook described it as one of those modern-day injuries, which makes you think that he might think players would have played, going back to our conversation just now, might have played in the old days. But Hladky was a really good reaction at Lincoln. He didn't have loads to do because the defence in front of him, crucially, were much, much better. The two centre-halves, Edmondson and Burgess, were far more aggressive than they were against Bolton. Lots of blocks, lots of big tackles. But Hladky was what he had to deal with. He did very assuredly, whether it was a punch away, whether it was collecting a shot straight down his throat. So managers always talk about keeping the shirt if you play well. That sends out a bit of a message. If you think, actually, you deserve, it was a clean sheet, I think that would be a real confidence boost to Vaclav if you were to keep him in again. So it's a tricky one, though, because Walton is a far more experienced goalkeeper. He was an ever-present for Blackburn when they finished 11th in the Championship not so long ago. He's on the books of a Premier League club, so everything suggests that he is the better goalkeeper on paper. But tough one, this. I don't know what I would do, actually, if I was in Cook's shoes.
I'm going to go around the room, so I'm going to go to Ross now. What would you do, Rossi? Obviously, we know you don't want to see Hladky play because you can't say his name. We know Thomas Holy's not going to play because he's got big-time case of fumbleitis. That's not happening. So who would you stick with a hot hand in Hladky, or would you bring Walton back?
No. The Vaz is staying in for me. You got to keep him in, got a clean sheet. Luckily, I don't need to do the PA announcement, so that's fine. I don't need to worry about saying his name. But no, I think you got to keep with the man who's kept a clean sheet and he's got confidence. So he's going to be my man in the sticks.
In the sticks, as opposed to between them.
Oh, is that the phrase?
Yeah, well,
okay.
It's a Roscoeism. We'll take it. He's going to be in the sticks. Mike Bacon, we've already established that you are, out of all of us, by far the most experienced coach of the year 2008, official award. So you know what you're talking about. The rest of us clearly do not. What would you do with the keeper?
Well, you got to play Walton, haven't you? I mean, it's fairly obvious. I mean, you don't take a man on loan for a Premier League club and then tell him after one game he ain't good enough. Yes, the Stu is right. The abductor, I have no idea what that is. Injury may be unpleasant. I'm sure it is. But if he's fit, he plays. Hladky, what's his name? Hladky's had 8 or 9 games, and clearly Cook didn't think he was the man for the job, so he's gone and got Walton. It won't say much. I don't know who will say less about if Walton is fit and doesn't play, really. Well, won't say much about Walton, and it won't say much about Cook's judgment on goalkeepers if after one game he's decided, actually, I prefer the other one now. I get the bit about he's kept a clean sheet. Of course I do. I fully understand that. But saying that wasn't his first game, was it? He's had 8 or 9 games to grab his shirt and make sure Cook doesn't look for any on loan goalkeepers. And unfortunately, he hasn't done that. And Cook's gone and looked for one. I'd be very surprised if Walton isn't back tomorrow. Certainly, it's to do with fitness. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he's fit, ultimately all roads lead to Walton being your number one. So why delay that just for sort of reasons of sentiment? You know, you're almost giving it as a reward to Heath for one good game. Walton's the better goalkeeper on paper, isn't he? So if he's fit, I imagine he will start. You're probably right, Mike.
What is the before we move on? Can we just clear up what the hell an adductor is? What is that? He's fallen over his adductor. Well, he left it on the ground. What's he done?
Adductor and abductor are different injuries, aren't they? And we're not quite sure which Paul Cook said last weekend. I think that adductor would be your hip and abductor would be more your stomach area. I'm not 100% sure, Mark.
But did you say he said he fell over his abductor or adductor?
I can't remember the phrase. He said he went over on it in training.
I hate it when you do that, don't you, boys? Go over.
Like when do you remember when Dean Gherkin had a sore one and he was out for a few games with a sore one? We never
still my favourite ever Ipswich Town injury. Dean Gherkin's sore one. Rossi, what else would you do with the team? The back four are set, aren't they? Now you're not going to bring KVY back. Danastian's come in and done the business. The others, the fridge and the freezer, and Coulson, they're all set. We've got Walton potentially in goal by the sound of it. The boys reckon Walton. What else? I mean, this is the final game, of course, in the audition process to be Sam Morsey's right-hand man. Morsey himself has spoken about Evans this week, saying what a good relationship they have. And also, obviously, the big question is what happens on the left. Now, I'd imagine we don't know. One of the frustrations of Paul Cook at Ipswich Town is we don't get much of an update on injuries. Carl Edwards clearly not ready to come back last week, but he goes straight into the team, clearly, doesn't he, if he's fit. What else would you do with the rest of the side, Rossi? Who are you playing alongside? Who are you playing in midfield? Are you bring Carroll back? Does he keep his space, his slot? Do you play him alongside Evans? Do you bring Harper back? What do you do?
Yeah, Carroll starts for me, but then we've also got the warrior of Coulson. He came off injured against Lincoln, although he must be fit enough because he did a school sort of thing yesterday or whatever he did, did a trip. So is he fit? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow, of course.
I like the idea that you have to pass a fitness test to go and do a community event. If you,
did he play for the school? Did he play for the school? What happened?
He scored 47 goals for Whitton Primary School.
Yeah. Walton played in goal. But no, I think you got to keep that midfield there with Carroll and Evans. And it depends on Edwards if he is fit and raring to go. It's just it's all about what Paul Cook will reveal tomorrow, really, in terms of different players. But if Edwards does start, then unbelievable, him and Selena, and then Burns on the right, and then my boy Macaulay Bonne up front. I think we've got.
I was just going to say that. I mean, at the moment, a few spots aside, the team pretty much picks itself, doesn't it? If players are fit, and that kind of front four you've just mentioned, Roscoe, for League One is terrifying. Macaulay Bonne, he's got 5 goals already, should be 6. You've got Selena as the 10, someone who should not be playing in this league. Edwards on the left. Who's the guy on the right? Burns. Third degree Burns on the right. That front four, unbelievable, Mike. Way too good for League One level, isn't it?
Yes, the theory is absolutely correct. Heathy, that is too good for League One level. It's extraordinary, though. They're all sort of wingers, really, aren't they? If you went with Harp, Edwards, Selena, Burns, they're all sort of wingers, really. That's sort of it's strange to have a midfield attacking three of all sort of wingers. I don't think I've ever seen an Ipswich Town team before. And obviously, your man Bonne is Bonne's just doing what you just dream of a striker to do: keep scoring goals and saying, "You're not having my shirt." That's the end of it. And fair play to him. I think Bonne has been outstanding so far, and I think he's been an absolute, I won't say surprise, but I just think he's, talk about grabbing your chance. I mean, wow, Piggott and Norwood are sitting there thinking rightly that at the moment that they'd be pretty peed off if they were suddenly taken out of the team doing what Bonne is doing. But
Bonne in the summer, Mike, he said the classic line of a footballer: "I have to make myself undroppable. I have to play so well that the manager has got no choice but to play me. And I've heard that 100 times from footballers over the years. But the way Macaulay Bonne said it, against the backdrop of how much he loves this football club, you believed it. And he's done exactly that. He wants that shirt so much. He knows that he has to go out and produce every week to make sure that he keeps getting these opportunities to play with that badge on his shirt. He's delivering, isn't he?
Well, that's the beauty of having a strong squad. In so much as Bonne knows, just like Piggott suddenly was already now aware, that if you don't do it, you're not going to start, because there are strong players who will just have your shirt. So that, when people talk about, Cook having all these lots of players to choose from and all this, but that's what he wants, and because that's what you should be driving towards. The situation with, Bonne, as Stu said, classic example, make him undroppable. But yeah, very exciting attacking force. If Edwards is fit.
If all fit. Stewie, what did you make of Mark Warburton's comments earlier this week about Macaulay Bonne? Because obviously Bonne is the superstar of Town's start to this point. Everyone's looking at, Andy did a bit about how he's on pace to become a 20-goal league scorer for Town, which has only happened twice in 30 years, which is incredible. Daryl Murphy and David Johnson both did it. I think Johnson did it twice. But when you think of all the other players, likes of Marcus Stewart and Darren Bent, Canago, all those other players that didn't hit 20 league goals, it's remarkable. And Bond's on pace to do that now. And then just as we get the win, Stewie, Town get a win, and then suddenly Warburton's being asked about recalling Macaulay Bonne. You think, no, don't do that. What are you doing? What did you make of it?
I can't. This is such a specific situation with the way that Bonne holds this club in such high regard that I find it's not like a usual situation where someone goes on loan and there is that fear of recall, or is that fear that their price is going up and they're almost pricing themselves out of a move. I just think sometimes things have to happen, because for deals to happen in football, both clubs have got to agree, the players got to agree. And I just think Macaulay Bonne is going to push so hard to stay at this football club for A, for the remainder of the season, and B, probably beyond, that eventually the two clubs will, that any idea of sort of game playing of QPR going, the price is going up here, or trying to get some more interest from elsewhere, or we might try and bring him back into our team. I just think what Macaulay wants will overrule all of that, and eventually they will have to, right, let's be sensible here. He wants it to happen, you want it to happen. And they'll figure it out at some point. It's far too early for those conversations to be starting, but it just feels like something that will naturally have to happen at some point. I hope I'm right.
Just in case you haven't seen those, Warburton asked about recalling Bonne clearly after his hot start. He says, "We'll see how we go. I don't think anyone would say that Lyndon Dykes, Charlie Austin, Andre Gray and Chris Willock are bad options to have. Players need to play. If Macca was here today, for example, and comes off the bench, does he benefit more from being out on loan and playing, or by sitting on the bench in the Championship? His job is to go out and score goals, and he's doing that. I'm delighted to see him doing that." So
yeah, they've started well, QPR as well. Which if they were having an injury crisis up front and not scoring goals and struggling, that would be a little bit different. But they've started all right, so I've got no fears on that front at the moment.
I think if Warburton's letting a striker go out on loan 1 minute and calling him back, this goes back to the goalkeeper at Ipswich, Walton again. You see. As a manager, you're going to be judged, aren't you? Fans will judge you. If 1 minute you're saying Bonne has put him out on loan to Ipswich, that's fine. Within sort of 4 weeks, that actually need him now, even though all their strikers are still fit. Then again, your judgment's questioned, isn't it? What do you let him go for? And goes back to the goalkeeper with Cook signing Walton. What do you pick him for? What do you get him over here for? If Halachi suddenly Halachi, what his name is suddenly the better
you're worse than Ross with your pronunciation.
It's a very difficult name. It is a very. I don't often defend Ross because I just don't defend him. It's as simple as that.
That's the rule.
There's nothing to defend. But on this one thing, I do defend him. I think it's a terribly difficult name to pronounce.
We have just chucked a G in there. I don't know where you've got that from.
Yeah, I did enjoy.
More like a Romanian striker now.
I did enjoy, Mike, your pronunciation the other day. What's both a Mexican food and something you can put your socks and shoes onto?
Oh, fajitas.
Fajitas. Yeah, fajitas.
Fajitos. And I'll tell you what, they were lovely as well, before you take the piss anymore.
I bloody love a fajiti. I tell you what, I love putting socks on my fajitis. Fantastic. Boys, let's talk about something else. I want to come to Ross now as the young person's correspondent at KOA. Something else very exciting happened this week, Rossi. The FIFA ratings are out. And I know Mike has got FIFA history as well, so we'll come to him in a minute. But FIFA 22 ratings are out. You said to me, we did a little video, go and watch that now if you haven't seen it, where we went through the whole squad looking at the ratings and having a back and forth, Rossi. You said to me before we started recording, this is the first time in years that I've been excited about FIFA ratings for Ipswich Town.
Yeah, there's just like this summer, you know, for the first time ever, we've got players who are actually good. So I'm looking forward to actually play them on the game itself. You know, Bursant Selena's the obvious one. My boy Macaulay Bonne. Sadly, they're loan players. So when I do a career mode, I have to sign them permanently. So I'll have to spend the American money. But Carl Edwards is going to be a good player to use. He's got the skill moves. He's got the flair. I'll bring it up quickly. Here he is. Got good pace. And yeah, looking forward to it. But we'll see how I get on. Hopefully I can win the league with Ipswich Town easy this year.
Oh, absolutely stroll it, mate. 100 points, 100 goals, I reckon. So for those of you who haven't seen it and are interested, go back and watch that video because we go into depth on each of the players and look at their stats and stuff. Selena's the top rated, no surprise there, I guess. Walton, second, and your boy Sam Worsey is in third. Mike, you are a father of two now adult boys, I would say. They're at uni, aren't they? But back in the day, you used to use the old excuse of well, you know, obviously the boys are playing FIFA. Used to walk into the man cave you created for them, get yourself going on FIFA, didn't you, mate?
Very much so. Big FIFA player I was when I was young enough to understand how to do it. It's got more complicated over the years. My mate, I was in my pomp at FIFA 15, I think. I was rocking and rolling then, and my boys got me set up. I was nicely going. I think I was Wigan manager for a little while. I was certainly Millwall manager. I have no idea why I got these managers' jobs, but anyway. But I was still on FIFA 15 when FIFA 18 came out. Which meant my squad was Marcus Rashford, I think, was 46.
Can I just give people an insight? Mike came into work one day when we was in the office and he said, I'm really enjoying FIFA, but I don't know how to sign players. So he had a team full of like 40-year-olds because he didn't know how to bring anyone else in.
Yeah, I did. I had a bit of a wobble with understanding it all because my boys started finding girls and drink and stuff. So they started leaving me on my own in the man cave. I was all right when they were sitting with me. I had new squads and knew everything. But when they started to vanish, I was just left. And as I complete each season, I just started a new season with the same players. But of course, after about 4 years, they seem to age quite quickly in FIFA. They don't like go 1 year at a time. I mean, Marcus Rashford went from 22 to 42 in about 2 FIFAs, and yeah, my squad got slower, and then I got bored, and then I think I had a big update on it once, and it blew the whole thing up. The boys had left out home.
So that's it. That was the end of your FIFA career. Obviously, now you can't get FIFA because you've got no excuse. I'm sure if you went to your lovely wife Tracy and said, "I'm going to buy myself FIFA," she'd say, "Grow up, get a life." Wouldn't she?
Well, she would, to be fair, and my boys wouldn't come home and not home to. I wouldn't have set up anyway, so I don't know what the point is of me doing it. So it doesn't matter.
I think you can kind of trace your age back to the last FIFA that you actually spent time playing, and mine was FIFA 12. So that says a little bit about me. Stu, obviously, you've made the mistake of having children. You're not now at the point of being able to use that excuse to play video games because she's not old enough yet. So you're very much in the wilderness years now of no video games at all because you haven't got time for that. Ross, as we already established, in the fullness of youth, can enjoy many more FIFAs yet. Roscoe, you'll be getting it next week, won't you? Jumping all over it. Everyone.
Yeah. When can I stop buying it? Like, I'm 25, so I'm probably at an age now where I'm on the cusp of should I not get it?
I stopped buying it because I didn't have time to play it anymore. That was the big thing. So you, child-free, careless, in the flush of romance with Sasha, I'd imagine you've got time to spare on playing such things, and we all cast envious glances your way as members of the elderly community. Now the rest of us, so enjoy it while you can, Ross. That's what I'd say. And look out, we'll do a first look video next week when Ross gets hold of it, and we'll do some simulations of games and even a season mode, won't we, Rossi?
I did see on BT is Mbappe the player on the front this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I did see that, and I looked at it. I was on BT Sport. I looked at the great jealousy of the thought that I might actually be able to have one of those and know how to play it.
Before we move on from FIFA, can I just say that EA Sports do not believe in the Renaissance. Here's one of only 3 bronze players, I believe, in the Ipswich Town squad. Miles Kenlock being another. It's time to start putting a bit more respect on Janoy's name. While Andy's not here, I'm gonna speak on his behalf. You know, the man came in last weekend. Really solid job. There he is. Really
He's a rare bronze.
Against Scully.
He's a rare bronze.
What's a rare bronze mean?
So it's just
that's a turkey, isn't it? A rare bronze.
Well, it's just a different sort of shade of bronze. So like Bailey Clements, this is bronze. So he's the worst player on the game for Town, and then Janoy's got a different bronze. As you can see, it's a bit of a different shape, and it's more shinier. But it's just rare.
Can I just say as well how beautiful that St. Lucian flag is on there?
Yes.
Of course, based on famous.
You see, this is why I lost interest in the end, because I didn't understand all these bronzes and light bronze, dark bronze. I mean, they were just players when I first. Well, just basic players, and suddenly they bronze this and a bit bronze that.
It's like you were saying earlier, Mike. Back in the 80s, players just played. You just want to play, don't you? You don't want to worry about who's bronze and who's light bronze and rare silver.
You could play a whole Football Manager season in an hour. Just keep smashing spacebar. Yeah, nowadays you need a degree to play Football Manager. Then you're setting up all your coaching staff. No,
they've taken the fun out of it, haven't they, boys? Speaking of fun, Stewie, you did an excellent piece. I think it went online yesterday, which I enjoyed reading, about Town's next 5 games. So I want to look at that now, because clearly now Town have got a chance to build on the win at Lincoln. They've got 2 home games in short order, the classic Saturday-Tuesday home game combo. An excellent opportunity to get 6 points in the bag. And you look through the rest of the games in that 5 as well. And my friend, you were feeling positive. You didn't predict a single defeat, as I remember. So do you want to just talk us through your thinking on those 5 before we move on to something else?
I remember what I went for now. So Sheffield Wednesday at home on Saturday. I think I had that down as a draw. Doncaster on Tuesday night at home. I had that down as a win. You got the list there in front of you?
I'm just bringing it up now, mate. So you said Sheffield Wednesday at home. You said 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
Doncaster at home on Tuesday. You said, whoa, I like the sound of this. 3-0 win, Stewie.
3-0, yeah. Doncaster, bottom of the table. They go to Plymouth on Saturday. And then so they've got a long trip down to Plymouth. And then they got to come all the way up to Portman Road on Tuesday night. I think that's a recipe for that. That will be the game. That will be lift-off on Tuesday, I think. Then we got Accrington away, which I think I went for another draw. Is that
1-1.
correct?
Obviously, Accrington not a happy hunting ground traditionally for Town. You said 1-1.
I had Accrington down as my dark horses at the start of this season. I said, difficult place to go. A draw. Shrewsbury at home. What did I say for that? Another win, didn't I?
You said win 2-0, another clean sheet. I like the sound of this.
And then Cambridge away. I think I put that down as a 2-2 draw, I believe. So 2 wins and 3 draws. Is that right? Over those 5 games, which could be better, but I think that's a decent return. That would be 9 points from 5 games. If you can get 2 points a game, that's a pretty decent haul, isn't it? So obviously that would be unbeaten as well. So I would be absolutely delighted if those results came off. Just quickly before, on the double header at home, I think I referenced in the last podcast about the home double headers being so important. That 14-15 season, they actually did it 3 times that year when they finished in the playoffs, where they won back-to-back home games. I think they did it. It was Millwall, Brighton early doors, Wolves and Watford in the middle part of the season. They did it again towards the end of the season. Since then, it's barely happened, those back-to-back home games, be it sort of Tuesday, Saturday or Saturday, Tuesday. I think it feels bigger somehow, doesn't it? Because it's in front of your own fans. It's back-to-back, and suddenly everyone gets really excited. Even if you can get 4 points from these next 2 games, could be massive.
Absolutely. A huge opportunity for Town, Rossi. How are you feeling going into this next run of games?
They're going to win them all, baby. They're going to win them all.
You've changed your tune because you were predicting nothing but defeats just a matter of a game ago.
Wow. Fickle, aren't I? Fickle. I think that win is the big one. against Lincoln, and I think we're going to make a big statement on Saturday against Wednesday to say hello to the league and say we're here and we're going to do well. I think there's going to be some tough games in that lot, but I feel they're beatable. I think Doncaster, they're not doing so well. As Stu said, I think it could be a big win. I think we need to get a big win to bring our goal difference up. I don't want to see any more 2-2 draws. I want to get a clean sheet again as well. And I think Accrington is not a great place to go. A long way to go, of course. But I think we can get a win there. Last time we actually played them, we won 2-0. Of course, Matt Gill was in charge that night. And then, Shrewsbury and Cambridge, their teams, I think we should be beating.
So you're going for 5 wins? 5 wins, 5?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
So you are so fickle, Rossi. Last week you were saying they were going to get tonked at Lincoln. Now you're saying they're going to win 5 games in a row.
Yeah, fickle.
Talk of getting the goal difference up.
Yeah. What I do hope, I mean, obviously you're doing the fan social later on today. I do hope, and I'm expecting a lot more positivity on the fan social this week, because last week Town were getting relegated. Paul Cook was a joke. He had to appoint an assistant manager because they do on Football Manager. That was the reason for getting an assistant in. Everything was just miserable. It was a shambles. Cook couldn't manage a game. It was all over for Town. So I'm hoping a lot of positivity is going to flood in tonight, and I look forward to listening to that. That positive vibe. I hope you've got a few of the people who were on last week, because it was an enjoyable listen, but in a kind of what the hell sort of way. Anyway, and I enjoyed the strike. If you're missing the strike is now on the fan social, so get involved in that, and that's the perfect spot for it. Mickey, Sheffield Wednesday this weekend. We've said it here now. This is a massive opportunity for Town to really make a statement against a big side in League One. A side, you've got to say, Sheffield Wednesday, they are also experiencing pressure from their fans. I think they've won 3 of their first 7 games, something like that. So they've not stormed it at all. There have been boos. Darren Moore has been criticised. So they'll come here under a bit of pressure themselves. How are you feeling about this game this weekend?
Well, I'm feeling very jolly about it, to be honest. I think, as I said, I haven't seen them lose at home yet, so I'm feeling good. Look, Sheffield Wednesday, big club, massive club, now dropped out from Championship into League One, finding exactly out what League One's all about. It's a difficult match for them. They won't fancy come to Ipswich. Ipswich haven't won their first game. This is really, as I said before, last pod, I think I was all about Ipswich, really. We talked about Teddy Bishop and stuff like that when they played Lincoln. It's all about Ipswich. They've got that win now. The crowd, it's going to be another big crowd, I'm sure. I mean, Wednesday will probably bring 2,000, I would think. Certainly 1,800. They'll bring loads.
Away sellout, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wednesday will create a great atmosphere. And Ipswich fans are always good on that situation. They'll be fantastic behind the team. So I'm expecting a victory. I don't think it's not going. It could be a little bit more nip and tuck actually than some of the free scoring sort of shambolic defending, hopeless back passing, sort of calamitous sort of defending we've seen in the last in a few home games. But on the back of a win, and of course, going forward, what Stu was saying about his 5 predictions. I mean, I'm not quite as bullshit as Ross. That'll be 5 straight wins. But I think the secret is Morsey. Morsey comes into the side. Is it Doncaster he can play? Is it Doncaster? Yeah. He'll walk straight into that side. I think he'll make a big difference to Ipswich Town. Selina, I think, already has. Morsey, I think, is going to even more. So I think if they can get over the hurdle of Sheffield Wednesday, I don't mean a hurdle with a small H, not a cap H, a small H of Sheffield Wednesday, i.e. pick up a win. It could be takeoff time. It really could. I've written my column actually for this week, which is going online later today. Will be about in the paper. And actually, I started off by saying, does it just feel like every game is massive? Because it just feels that way with Ipswich Town at the moment. Every game seems to be massive from the first one, and here we are, 8 games, how many games in? And this does feel a very big game, doesn't it? Just to keep the momentum going.
Talk about Morsey coming in, that whole centre of the field could be completely different to what we've seen thus far. And it's been clear that some of the issues have come from there. But if Carroll takes his chance, and we don't know who he's going to go with alongside Morsey going forwards, but I liked Carroll a lot last weekend. There's that Premier pedigree about him showed. He's very calm, composed. Him and Morsey, I think, could be a good little balance. Then Selena in the 10, who we've only now seen for an hour last weekend. So that's a brand new central three. Everything else around them was functioning quite well. They were playing quite well down the flanks. I think once the two centre halves and the goalkeeper get settled a little bit more, this is still, as Cook and everyone kept reminding us, a brand new team and players that had come late to the party in the transfer window. So it was hard to hear at the peak of that frustration when we were living through it. And you just talked about that fan social. It felt like, here we go again because of everything that's gone before. But when you take a step back from it, and last weekend was a major step in the right direction, and if they can get some momentum going in these next few weeks, could be really powerful.
Rossi, going to come to you now because you've this morning you've recorded a Meet the Opposition video with a Sheffield Wednesday fan, or I don't know, was it a fan, journalist, blogger? Who was it this time?
It was the Sheffield Wednesday writer reporter from Yorkshire Live. So he's covered Sheffield Wednesday for a while now. So he's seen them from the ups to the downs and everything.
Superb. That you just went into intro mode there, didn't you? From the ups to the downs, sights and the sounds. So what was he saying about Wednesday? Just to give us a kind of behind the scenes look at them.
Of course, they had a fantastic start to the season. They went 4 games unbeaten, didn't concede a goal, but then they've had a bad last few games. They lost 1-0 against Morecambe, lost against Plymouth heavily, and then they drew at home against Shrewsbury 1-1. They missed a penalty as well. So it's been a mixed bag start. It's been some exciting performances, but probably not had the last few games has not gone their way. But they've got a good squad, Sheffield Wednesday. I like, Berahino. Once upon a time he was linked to big clubs and all that, and he scored on his home debut for Wednesday last week, but he came off with an injury, so maybe we'll find out if he's fit this weekend. But they've got Barry Bannon. He's their star man, so he's a player to look out for. He's a player who's got a lot of experience, and just their squad, like Dominic Iorfa, he was on loan with us, and I'm a big fan of him. Che Dunkley in defence, so I think it's going to be more tougher to score this weekend. So Macaulay Bonne will have a lot of problems against those top in that midfield.
I don't think Macaulay Bonne is going to be bulldozing his way through a centre half like he did last weekend up against Dominic Iorfa and Che Dunkley, the two centre halves for Sheffield Wednesday. Bannon in League One is ridiculous, isn't he? He's still a very, very classy player. Like Ipswich, like you said right at the start, the expectations on them are going to be huge. And I've already heard Darren Moore talking about, we're on a journey and there's going to be some bumps in the road. And that was kind of I was hearing sort of echoes of Paul Lambert over the last couple of seasons for Ipswich, just really sort of managing those levels of expectation. I mean, Wednesday have been in this league before, but you're going back nearly 10 years since their little last stint in League One. So they're in that kind of come down, win the first few games, 100 points, 100 goals. We're all going on a League One tour. And then they've had their little reality check, as Ross said, in the last few weeks. So really looking forward to this game. There's going to be some big players at League One, some big individual duels all over the pitch. Should be a good one.
This is as big as it gets in League One, I think. Town at home, Sheffield Wednesday, as you say, players who probably shouldn't be playing in League One. Amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. Hutchie, I'm sure, is gutted to be missing it, but Mickey, you'll be enjoying it. Let's get on to predictions, shall we, as a way to finish the show. And we've all got a tremendous responsibility on our shoulders because Mr. Moneybags, Andy Warren, has given us a little pot of money each to spend as we see fit in £1 million picks. He's been doing all right, not too bad at all. We've all got £5,000 though to put on bets. So where are we going to go with this? Let's do the bets first, and then we'll finish with a score prediction. Although obviously score predictions may be part of these bets. Clearly, I'm going to go first, boys. My £1 million pick. I'm putting £5,000 on a double. All right, I'm saying it's going to be 1-1 at half time. And I'm saying Town are going to score first. So Town score first, 1-0, and it's going to be 1-1 at half time. £5,000 on that at 15.8 to 1 will net me a cool 84 grand, which obviously Hutchie will be delighted with. And I'm sure he'll give me a pat on the head for returning that to him. Stewie, what are you doing with your 5K?
I've got something very similar to you, funny enough. And I know I've already predicted a 1-1 draw in that piece that I've done, but as per usual, as the weekend nears, the optimism goes up a little bit more. I'm going to go for a double the same. I'm going to go draw at half time, Town to win come the full time. And that's 5-1.
Draw at half-time, Town to win at full-time. No scores there, just basically outcomes. And what was it? 5-1, you say?
5-1.
Okay, so nice little return for yourself as well. Rossi, have you got a bet lined up? Earlier, before we started rolling, you were lamenting you had to find the odds yourself. You just wanted to say something, and I've just come up with odds for you. What have you got?
I have been looking up during the recording. If you watch on video, you'll be looking. I've been looking down, up and down, and all that. I'm going to go for 2 as well. I want to do first goal scorer, obviously Macaulay Bonne.
Yeah,
and the correct score, which is my prediction, 2-1. That is 25-1, and the return is 130k.
Big money. So that's Macaulay to score first and Town to win 2-1.
Yeah,
that's a big money bet there. So we could be absolutely in clover here. Mickey, what have you done with your 5k? Obviously, normally you're used to carrying 5k around in your wallet, so it's not a big deal for you. What are you doing?
Well, it's not a big deal, but I'd like to sort of just interject here that this is rather unfortunate that I wasn't on the last podcast, so I wasn't aware that this 5k bet was going to be forecast on the next one. And indeed, I woke up this morning to a text from Mr. Warren, who said to me, everyone's doing I've given everyone a 5k to have a bet, except you, because you can just get 5k out of the bank and do it on what you want. So I'll be going to my bank tomorrow and getting 5k out on my way on Saturday morning on the way to the game. Yeah. And I'll be putting 5,000. I don't know what the odds are, you see, so I can't tell us, but I'll be putting 5k on Town to get the first corner.
The first corner? Wow. So you're putting 5k of your own money. The
first
bacon
corner.
Yes. Now I'd like to make this clear. This is my own money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gamble aware. Okay. But I've got no choice. Otherwise, I'm not allowed back on the podcast.
I'll tell you what. If this comes in 5k on the first corner, there's going to be some serious inquiries made.
Yes. especially if Bond passes it back to Evans, who then hoofs it forward, and the goalkeeper flicks it over his head over the bar for a corner. Yeah.
Was it the story? Was it Letizia at Southampton where there was bets on first throw-in and they took the kick off and Letizia just hoofed it straight into touchline straight away?
There you go, then, Mike. That's the way you roll, isn't it? The Bacon Wealth Fund, 5k out, whack it on first corner, see what happens. Who cares if we lose it? Might as well set fire to it.
I'll probably put on expenses, Heath, so you'll be signing off.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
what I'm
fine,
saying is
absolutely
it's all
fine,
part of the game, isn't it?
Absolutely fine. Of course it is. Right then. So prediction wise, I reckon Town. Oh, I say this every week. I want Town to win, so I'm going to say they're going to win. I reckon Town are going to win 3-1. 3-1. It'll be 1-1 at half time. Town will win 3-1. Stu, you've already predicted 1-1. You sticking with that?
I am, even though I've just put my money on Ipswich to win at full time. I'm sticking with my 1-1. That is like an insurance bet. You know, when sometimes people bet against
absolutely
the outcome that they want. So that's my little insurance bet with the money, but my actual real prediction is 1-1.
3-1 Town win, 1-1 Stewie says. Roscoe, what are you saying? Obviously a win because Town will win every game now, according to you.
Yeah, my prediction's 2-1. And it worked last week of saying, you know, we're going to lose 2-0 against Lincoln and when they go on and win. So that reverse thing there. But it's not gonna work this week. I'm gonna go for a win and we're gonna win. Blue Army.
Okay, there we go. And Mickey, Mr. Positivity yourself. You've got 5k riding on the first corner. What's the score going to be?
Well, that's obviously my biggest concern before I start about the corner. I really won't be watching too much of the game.
You see Mike get up and celebrate after a minute. Yes!
Yes, I'll be. That is my biggest. That'll be my biggest concern this afternoon. But after the first corner's gone to Town, and obviously I think Town will win 1-0, and I think it could well be a corner that will come over North Stand end. I call it North Stand end. You see, proper end, North Stand end, and I think Danasin, bang, 1-0.
Wow! You should have added Danasin to your bet because the odds you'd get on that would be absolutely massive.
Yeah,
so. If Town get the first corner, Danassian scores after a minute. Look for Mike Bacon literally doing a mic drop and walking out. Just waiting for everyone.
Will he be in the box though? Because he's a fullback. He'll probably be defending.
He'll go up for corners.
I've just had a look. Do you know how many goals Janoy Danassian scored in his career?
3.
In 241 appearances.
Yeah.
What? 1?
Well,
he's gonna make it 2 Saturday by the sound of it.
You make it sound as though he's incapable of scoring a goal. He's obviously scored one, and you know,
it's just stats.
Stats. Quite right, Stu. Stats are stats. Absolutely.
There we go then. So look for Mike, as I say, doing literally a mic drop. If that comes to fruition, first corner, Town score. After 5 minutes, Mike will just walk out.
Yeah, I will. I'll just walk out and get my money, and I'll leave poor old Watto to sort out the rest of the stuff for the afternoon, because I'm going on holiday, and I'll just collect my winnings and I'll be halfway down Constantine Road before they play 20 minutes.
Mickey will be off to Richard Branson's private island, waving as he goes.
Cash in a suitcase, because clearly you only deal in cash as well.
So that has been tremendous fun, boys. It's been great to have Mickey with us, of course. All of us think Town are either going to win or draw. No defeats being predicted. Fan social tonight, Rossi. Who's on it? Who's going to be bringing the positivity to us tomorrow?
David.
Oh God. Oh no.
Yeah. But then we've got Dazza, who I met once again in Lincoln on the weekend. Segs, good old Segs. I've forgotten the rest. I'm sorry for the rest.
Do they have real names, these people?
These are the nicknames, Mike. We work in nicknames on this show. Yeah,
like David's and Darren. That's a real name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, who's Segs? What's Segs?
Thomas Seggins. Thomas Seggins.
Thomas. Oh, I know. Yes, Thomas. Well, call him Thomas.
Everyone knows
Segs, was
it's
he?
because we got too many Toms in the fan social, so we decided we need different names. Dan also is part of it as well. And Matt, good old Matt, aka Bono, aka View from the U2.
Oh, he'll bring the positivity. He's a positive individual. He'll offset the angriness, I'd imagine, that's inevitable when you get David on the show. It must be exhausting being that angry the whole time. Is he just wound up like a ball of rage the whole time, Rossi? You know him?
No, there's times where he's a very cuddly man. So yeah, he's all good.
That's the perfect way to end it then. A very cuddly man. We're all very cuddly men. Ipswich Town are going to win this weekend at the very least. They're going to draw. It's been tremendous to have you along with us. Any other business, boys, before I do the outro and try not to cock it up this time?
Just going back to the new Wolsey production, Mike, you're going this week. I believe it runs until, I have to double check on this, 9th of October off the top of my head. So there's still plenty of time to get your tickets for that. Go and get yourself down there.
Stu, do people stand up singing Blue Army halfway through it or anything?
It's audience participation is encouraged. I think
Excellent.
They want you to wear your football shirts and it's not your usual. Don't be put off by. I think the guy said this in the bit that they did with Mark and Andy. Don't think it's a stuffy theatre experience. If you're a football fan that's never been, get yourself along to this one.
I'd imagine they will still take a dim view if you start shouting the referee's a wanker, though, Mike, to be honest.
Oh, I see. I didn't realise. Oh, okay.
So try not to do that. But all of the chants are fine, obviously. Any other business from you two, Mickey and Rossi? Anything to say? Anything to mention?
Well, not really. No, I do think, as Stuart said, I think this is a massive game on Saturday, and I think 6 points in these next two games, and wow, that league table is going to look pretty different on Wednesday morning, isn't it? If Ipswich Town do get 6 points, and suddenly we're going to be mid-table, looking towards the playoffs, just like that.
Rossi.
And as it's Thursday, a bit of a throwback Thursday picture once again. Can you explain this, Stu and Mike?
I remember that well. Yeah, I remember that. I remember it was January. It was bloody cold, and we had to go outside to film. You can actually see my old car in the background there. That blue Vauxhall Astra. They were great times. The lost tapes of Green and TV. Stewie, I remember once standing on a football in incredibly skillful style, punting one into the River Orwell as well. We went down Stoke Park, didn't we, to film some segments. It almost involved me stacking it face first on some mud. They were happy memories, boys. Good times indeed.
We were absolutely years ahead of our time. It was extraordinary. You think of it now, some of the things people do we're doing that 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I remember at the office, we used to have television screens around the whole building. They used to put it up on the Friday afternoon after we'd done it for the whole of the staff to watch. But that was very entertaining. We did some, that was good fun, Stu. We used to laugh a lot then, Stu, didn't we?
Yeah, they were the good times.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, go back and watch that Green and TV, Bacon and Stew, because some of the things on those videos, if you look at calm, mild-mannered Stuart Watson now, you'd say, "Wow, this is clearly a different individual." There we go. There he is.
Are those swimming goggles on your head?
Yeah, because if you remember that Jedward obviously had ridiculous hair, but they also wore ridiculous goggles as well. So Stu Stu went off camera. He was normally on camera, being the kind of sensible Stuart Watson. Then he vanished for a second, and off camera he was gelling his hair and literally pulling some goggles out of his swimming bag, I think, to whack on, and then came back. It again years ago, but do go and watch it if you've not seen it, because they're enjoyable times, just as they are now, boys. Who would have thought all those years ago that one day we'd be doing this soon to be award-winning podcast all together, and I'd be presenting it? Who knew? Who could see that coming? Anyway, thanks for joining us today, everyone. Please remember to support our sponsors, Manscaped, at manscaped.com. Use the code KOA for 20% off and free delivery. That's the code KOA for 20% off and free delivery. And also, as Stewie says, get your tickets now for Never Lost at Home from the New Wolsey website. Starts at £10 a ticket. Can't say fairer than that. And that runs until, as Stewie said, I think October the 9th. Thanks very much for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed yourself. There's a huge game this weekend. Absolutely massive. Follow it with us. Mickey, Stewie and Roscoe will all be there. And then on Monday, we'll be sitting here gloating about how Town season is well and truly up and running with the biggest victory of the season so far. Have a great weekend, whatever you're doing, and we'll see you again next time.